every day, for hours. He walked. No music, no conversation, no distraction, just the sound of boots against stone and the endless silence of the mountains. Friedrich Nietzsche wandered the Swiss Alps like this, day after day, year after year, not to escape the world, but to think. What was happening in those long stretches of silence? No notes, no lectures, no audience. And yet, from that solitude, came ideas that would reshape philosophy. So the question is not, why was he alone, but what becomes possible only when you are? Nietzsche was not alone in choosing solitude. Some of the most original minds in history treated it not as absence, but as a discipline. For Nietzsche, solitude was a testing ground. He believed that only in isolation could a person hear their own thoughts, uncontaminated by the expectations of others. From those solitary walks emerged works like Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a philosophy built from confrontation with oneself. Blaise Pascal once wrote that most human problems arise from our inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He understood something unsettling. Silence reveals what distraction hides, and in that silence, Pascal explored faith and doubt. Henry David Thoreau withdrew to Walden Pond, not to disappear but to observe. He discovered that solitude sharpens perception. What others overlooked, he documented. What others rushed past, he understood. Nikola Tesla worked in near total isolation. He didn't just think in solitude. He built entire inventions in his mind. He claimed he could run machines internally, observe their flaws, and perfect them without ever speaking a word. Different minds, different eras, but the same pattern. They didn't stumble into solitude, they chose it. Today, silence has become rare, not because it disappeared, but because we replaced it with noise, with constant input, with endless distraction, and the mind pays a price. Neuroscience describes the default mode network. It activates when the mind turns inward, where reflection happens, where memory reorganizes, where ideas begin to form. But here's the problem. It requires space. Constant stimulation keeps the brain in reactive mode, always responding, never integrating. Studies show that cognitive overload reduces depth of thought, weakens creativity, and fragments attention. In other words, when your mind is always occupied, it never has time to think. But we need to be precise. Solitude is not isolation. Isolation is imposed. It is the absence of connection. Solitude is chosen. It is an intentional withdrawal, not from people, but from noise. Isolation drains. Solitude restores. The philosophers understood this distinction. They were not avoiding the world. They were stepping away, so they could return with something worth saying. Solitude doesn't require mountains or cabins. It requires intention. Here are 4 ways to build it as a practice. 1. The walking mind. Walk without input. No music. No podcasts. Let thought follow movement. Just unfolding. 2. The silent room. Set a timer. 10 minutes. No stimulation. No task. Just presence. Notice the discomfort. That's where the mind begins to surface. 3. The observational retreat. Step outside your routine. Write what you see, not opinions, not analysis, just reality. Clarity begins with attention. 4. The inner laboratory. Before acting, imagine. Run ideas internally. Test them. Solitude gives you space where thought can evolve. These are not productivity hacks. They are disciplines of attention. There is a kind of silence that does not feel empty. It feels full. In that silence, you begin to notice something unfamiliar. Your thoughts, before they are shaped by others. Your questions, before they are answered. And slowly, something emerges. Not louder, not faster, but clearer. The ideas that require solitude are the ones that cannot survive distraction. So if you are searching for something original, do not look for more input. Look for space. Because in the end, the mind does not reveal its depth in noise, but in the quiet you were taught to avoid.